Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Sam and today's video is going to be the mid-year book freakout tag. I know I'm about 2 months too late to posting this, but I didn't film or post anything all of June or July. So I'm doing it now because this is one of my favorite videos to watch and one of my favorite videos to film every year. So here we are, I'm gonna do it. Hopefully you don't mind. So we have 13 questions and I'm just gonna get started. The first one is the best book that you have read so far in 2024. Now, I could not pick just one book. So I have 3 here to share with you. I could honestly add a little bit more, but that's a little bit overkill. But I don't think this one is gonna come as a surprise to anyone. No one's shocked, right? The Things We Cannot Say by Kelly Rimmer. Actually, all of the books that I have right here are historical fictions. Listen, it's been my thing this year and it's probably not gonna stop anytime soon. And this one, I just can't stop thinking about this book. It was so good. All 3 of these really are just freaking incredible books. So this one is told in a dual timeline and we are following Alice and Alina and how their stories are connected, and it was just absolutely beautiful. Both stories in here had me just hooked. I loved the journey that Alice went on. I learned how much she learned about herself and how much she learned about her family and where they came from and the sacrifices that were made for her to be where she is today. And then Alina's story was just absolutely heartbreaking, but also very beautiful. This is a World War II historical fiction. I did not mention that. And then another World War II historical fiction. Again, this isn't gonna be a shocker. The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. Another book that just absolutely blew me away. The hype around this book is absolutely deserved and it is so real. If you have not read this book yet and you like historical fiction, what are you doing? This one follows 2 sisters who, they have a very strained relationship, but they come together during the war and then they both find themselves on kind of opposite sides of the war, so to speak. And it's the things that happen in here to both sisters, but especially the mother in here. One of the sisters has a young child and her husband goes off to war. I really just found myself relating to her a lot in the decisions that she was making. I mean, she's stuck between a rock and a hard place for most of this book, and some of the things that she had to do and put herself through. I cannot imagine having to make those decisions for my family. Just absolutely heartbreaking, absolutely beautiful book. And then we have another Kristin Hannah. Again, you're probably not going to be surprised. The Women. This is a Vietnam War historical fiction, and it is following the women that were in Vietnam, the nurses, and we're following Frankie. And it's her journey, but it's just so much more. I mean, you follow the friends that she makes, you follow kind of her love life, you just see her happy, you see her at her lowest. Again, another book that is just absolutely heartbreaking, but it is absolutely beautiful. And I think this book probably taught me more about the Vietnam War than I learned in school. Just very eye-opening book. And you can tell just the love and care and all of the research that Kristin Hannah has put into this book. It is absolutely incredible. So question number 2 is the best sequel that you've read so far in 2024. I have not read many sequels, and this one might be a little surprising, but I'm gonna go with Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. This is book 2 in the Imperium series. Is that what this is called? I think so. Okay, first time around that I read Fourth Wing, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. And then I read it again before this book came out. And I enjoyed it more. I think because I was able to sort of let go of everything that I had heard and all the hype that was around it. And I just expected it to be just this like amazing, incredible fantasy romance. And it just, I mean, it was super fun, but I don't know, I feel like people were talking about it like it was the second coming or something. And it just let me down a little bit. But then I reread it and I had a lot of fun. And I actually like Iron Flame better than I liked Fourth Wing which I know is a very unpopular opinion. I so much more enjoyed the pacing of this book and just things that were going on. I liked Violet and Xaden, and yeah, I am definitely looking forward to book 3. So Iron Flame for the best sequel. Okay, so question number 3 is a new release that you haven't read, but you still want to get to. So I have 3. The first one, I have been seeing so much hype about this book, and I actually just watched my friend Cass from The Modern Bookwoman. She did her mid-year freakout tag, and she was talking about how much she really liked this book and this author, and that is Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. I think I'm saying her name right. I have never read anything by this author, but the things that I've heard about this book, I'm really intrigued. It's a single mom and she finds love again. So that sounds right up my alley. And then I have Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. Now that I'm thinking about this, I'm kind of second guessing. When did this actually come out? This came out last year. Ignore that. I do still want to read it. And then, did this one come out last year too? Samantha. I thought I was ready for this tag. I don't think I am. This one did come out in 2024. This is Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. Again, this is an author that I have not read anything by, but I know a lot of people really like this author and a lot of people really liked this book. It is Friends to Lovers, which is not really my favorite, but this is an accidental pregnancy, so I'm gonna give it a shot, okay? And I hope that this works out for me and that I love it as much as everybody else has, because this cover is adorable, and you all know I love my surprise pregnancies, okay? I love them. So then question number 4 is your most anticipated release for the rest of the year. And that is going to be The Courting of Bristol Cleats. I think I got that right, by Mary E. Pearson. This one comes out November 12th. You guys, it has been so long since I have read Mary E. Pearson. She wrote the Remnant Chronicles, and I love that trilogy so much. I still have yet to read Dance of Thieves, that duology, but I'm so excited to get into this one. This is an adult fantasy. She said it's going to have some romance in it, and I think somebody even asked her on a live if it's going to have any spice, and she said, yeah, there's some spice in there. So I am very much looking forward to this because I love her writing, and I'm just excited, yeah, for her to do something adult and a little bit out of what I know from her, at least, or what I've read from her. Question number 5 is biggest disappointment. You guys, Wild Love by Elsie Silver. Oh man, I wanted to love this book so much. I wanted to love this so freaking much, but I just did not. A lot of it just didn't make any sense to me, because you have Ford Grant, who is just this like very like, from seeing him in Willa's book in Heartless, he just seemed very like level-headed and, you know, had a good head on his shoulders. He moves to this like very small town to make a record label, and when he gets there, he realizes, oh hey, you know that sperm that I donated way back when? Yeah, I have a daughter, and this daughter has tracked me down and needs my help. He asked 0 questions, like did not go for a paternity test, nothing. And it just seemed a little weird to me. And then the fact that like she was, I don't know. I didn't like it. It didn't make sense to me. And I just didn't like the romance in Wild Love either. I mean, we were supposed to get this feeling that he has just been obsessed with Rosie for years because it's his best friend's younger sister, and I didn't feel that. I didn't feel like they had really any sort of connection, really anything at all. So yeah, I think I gave it like 2 stars. I didn't like it. Did not like it. Question number 6 is biggest surprise, and I have to go with Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. I read this book for a like reading out of my comfort zone reading vlog, and this one, while this is fantasy and it's not like fantasy in itself is not out of my comfort zone, just adult fantasy with like no, like the plot isn't romance, or it's not super romance heavy, and just high fantasy is out of my comfort zone. And honestly, fantasy written by a man is out of my comfort zone too, but I really enjoyed this book way more than I thought that I would. So I have added more high fantasy books and more written by men to my TBR because of this book. So that's a big surprise, okay, for me, because I never thought I would be reading this and liking something like this. Question 7 is favorite new author. Now this could be just a brand new author, like just written their debut book, or just a new to you author. And of course I have to go with Kristin Hannah because I have read so many of her books this year, and I'm actually currently listening to one, and she, just every book that she has written, I have just loved. Her writing is just so good. You just get so sucked into her books, even though they're not like the most like fast-paced books ever written, which The Women actually kind of, that was pretty fast-paced, but like The Nightingale, it's a very slow book, and The Great Alone, very sort of slow book, but you have to know what happens. She leaves you with enough to keep going. So definitely my favorite new author is Kristin Hannah, and I plan to read like all of her backlist. Number 8 is newest fictional crush, and I have to go Isaiah Rhodes. You guys, I did not think that this could top Caught Up. I didn't think anything that she was gonna write in the series was gonna top Caught Up for me. Baby brother Rhodes came in and he was like, just wait, okay? I freaking love Isaiah Rhodes, okay? He is kind of my perfect romance hero because he has just the right amount of like dominance and possessiveness, but he's also very like golden retriever, goofy, and just has a vulnerable side too. He really he wanted to be loved, and he wanted someone to show up for him and to stay for him because they wanted him, because they loved him. And my heart just broke for this man, and I loved it, okay? I think he's my new favorite in the Windy City series. Isaiah, yep, he's the one. Question number 9 is newest favorite character, and I'm going to repeat a book here. Frankie from The Women by Kristin Hannah. Like I said before, I feel like I know her. We went through so much together. We got to see so much of her, and her growth throughout this book was incredible. What she went through and who she became even after it. And then, I mean, like, she hit some lows, some low lows, but she came out of it and she made something of herself, and she was making a difference in other people's lives. And I love her. She's incredible. Okay, so question 10 is a book that made you cry. All 3 of these are going to be repeats. We're just going to go through them very quickly, okay? The Women by Kristin Hannah. I vlogged this one. Yeah, I cried. The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah, another one. Tissues, sobbing on the couch. This book. And then I also vlogged this one, The Things We Cannot Say by Kelly Rimmer. Sobbed. All 3 of his books. I ugly cried. And I loved it. You know what? I loved every second of it. I love a good book that makes me cry. I want to cry. Please rip my heart out. Please and thank you. So question number 11 is a book that made you happy. And I have 2 for this one. So the first one is House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This made me happy pretty much the whole time I was reading it, except parts where I cried. I was just so happy to be back in this world, back with these characters, and back with another Sarah J. Maas book, because it had been years, okay? It had been years since we had gotten one, and I was just so happy, so freaking giddy to be reading this book, okay? And I know this book has gotten a lot of hate. Don't come at me with the hate, okay? Because I liked this book, okay? I liked it. So the next book that made me happy is Starting Line by McKay Marie. Now this book made me happy for a few different reasons. First of all, I just really liked this book. It made me happy. TJ and Caleb just really, I loved their story. Their banter was so good. Caleb, I loved Caleb. And even TJ, like she was a little like prickly, okay? She's very prissy, very like, things are a certain way. This is how I have to be. And Caleb just came in and he was like, no, things don't have to be that way. They don't. And then the way that Caleb just, he was all in, okay? He was all in. That made me happy. The end of this book also made me happy. And then just the fact that like my friend wrote this book and it's such a good book, that made me happy too. And this is her 3rd book release. She has 3 books out in the world, okay? That made me happy too. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book that you have bought or received so far this year. And this is kind of hard for me to pick out. I don't really buy a lot of special editions or, you know, limited editions of books. I don't know. I don't really do that. And I've also been really good this year about not buying a whole ton of books. But I will say that this cover of Quicksilver by Callie Hart it's pretty, okay? This is a pretty cover. This I think is the like discreet edition of it. And it's pretty, okay? She's really pretty. The butterflies. I really like this edition. I like the one with the guy on the cover too, but I don't know. This one was just speaking to me. The colors, the butterflies. So yeah, this one. Definitely this one. So question 13 and the last question in this tag is, what books do you need to read before the end of the year? I have a stack of 4 here just from my shelves that I really want to prioritize, but there are probably many more that I am missing, okay? I literally just paused the video and turned around and looked at my shelves to be like, okay, I really want to read this. Now these are ones that, well, 3 of them have been on a TBR before, and I keep saying like, I'm gonna read these, I'm gonna read these, I'm gonna read these. And one of them might have even been in my mid-year freakout tag last year. I don't remember. Never by Jessa Hastings. I don't remember exactly when this came out, but I remember putting it on a TBR, being so excited about it. And then I think I probably had this on multiple TBRs, if we're being honest. So I put off reading this book because there was some controversy around some of the things that were in this book. I think one of the creatures in here, its name or something. But I know Jessa since then has gone in and fixed it. So I wanted to wait until that happened. And also I was hearing some very bad reviews on this when it first came out, but I feel like I'm removed enough from those now, and like nobody's talking about this book anymore, that I can actually go into it and read it with kind of like, if it's bad, it's bad, and it's not like a super hyped book that I'm gonna be like really let down by, because, you know, before it came out I was super excited about it because I love Jessa Hastings, and I was really afraid that it was gonna, you know, disappoint me. So I feel like I won't be as disappointed now. Did any of that make sense? Probably not. I'm very hot, I'm thirsty, and I'm hungry. Okay, it's taken me way longer to film this than I wanted to because I thought I had answered all the questions and I didn't. So I had to stop recording, go and like fill out my little sheet here that I have, and it's whatever. Okay, and then this next one, another fantasy book that I know has been on multiple TBRs, One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This is a duology, and I know that the duology is complete now. And again, I have heard some mixed things on book 2, which is why I have not bought book 2 yet, because I'm kind of bad about that, about buying an entire series before I finish it. I haven't done that with this one. I think this is like upper YA. I don't know. I don't think this is an adult fantasy book. I don't think there's any like smut or anything in here, but this just made its rounds on every book space, okay, that you can imagine. This book was everywhere, and I have yet to read it, so I really want to get on that. And then I have one more fantasy, which is a high fantasy, and my audiobook hold from the library should be coming in within the next week or two. So I definitely am going to pick this up because the amount of hype that I have seen from Rachel from Raven-Haired Reader and also Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life, they love this series, okay? Like would die for these characters in the series. And I love a good like character. I don't know if this is like a character driven story. I'm pretty sure that it is. I think I've heard both of them say that, but I could be pulling that from nowhere. I don't know. I'm just really intrigued by this, okay? Very intrigued. I want to read it. Like I said, after reading Empire of the Vampire, I'm like, I'm a high fantasy girly now. I can read whatever. I can read whatever. So definitely want to read Jade City by Fonda Lee. Okay, and last but certainly not least, I had to put another historical fiction book on here, and that is Where the Lost Wander by Amy Harmon. This is another book that I have heard such good things about. I've read Amy Harmon, one book by Amy Harmon, and actually really liked it. It was her World War II historical fiction from Sand and Ash. Yeah, really liked that one. This though is, I believe, kind of what I remember people saying about it is it's like Oregon Trail with a love story thrown in. Yeah, I want to read that. I definitely want to read this. And unless something has changed, Amy Harmon's books, if you have Audible, they are free, or maybe it's just Kindle Unlimited, I don't know, but they're free to read and listen. So I really have no excuse not to read this. So that is all for the mid-year freakout tag. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have made it to this point in the video and you'd like to let me know, leave me a butterfly emoji in the comments down below. Also tell me some books that you absolutely have to read before 2024 ends. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.